Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective, making sure our chat is off and running. You guys are amazing. Thanks for tuning in on this fine Sunday morning. It is now Cowboys game day as well. Y'all know that's my other child is the Dallas Cowboys. So getting ready for game day here as we play the Minnesota Vikings. But as we didn't get to do the live chat yesterday uh, for the Texas post game victory. I know I put up some quick notes and things I took away from the game, but just want to wrap with y'all today. So hopefully everybody can hear me clearly, see me okay, and we are off to go. Let me also turn off my notification here. Got my cup of coffee. Victory Sunday, victory morning. So yeah, as you guys come in, you know what to do as we take attendance. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. If you want to be in the chat, you need to be subscribed. So make sure you hit that like button as you come in here, especially as we got a 55-14 dub career day from Bijan Robinson. Outstanding performance, outstanding young man who continues to be the bell cow, the face of the program. We understand the Baylor game coming up most likely will be his last game at DKR, barring anything that would shock everybody. And like I said yesterday, just really grateful for an amazing player um, who put forth an amazing career here at Texas. Um, and it's been fun. It's been fun just to see somebody just completely dominate an opponent, and not just on his own. Right, the offensive line, who I guess I'm I might be in the minority of. Again, another year under Kyle Flood, where this offensive line and the run blocking department, minus TCU, they had a setback against TCU. We can't ignore that, but they have made strides from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. And the level of physicality on this football team has impressed me overall. And you can tell that's a nature of what's happening behind the scenes in practice. You know, offense versus defense, iron sharpens iron, improvement of depth, improvement of recruiting, all those things factor in. And, we talk about depth, somebody just mentioned it right here. Our boy, my son, Jay Brooks, uh, that kid's going to be a problem next year. Y'all, everybody's getting the Jamal Charles vibes from it. And how can you not when you see that lean and the way he moves to the hole? And we see it every time with Jay Brooks, anytime he gets the rock. So those flashes are very, very, very exciting. But next week, we want to see Bijan continue to roll. Let's go for another 150, 200. And what he does for us, as a team, energy wise, receiving wise, professionalism. Just an incredible football player and an incredible performance we saw just out of the run game yesterday. Just dominant, just a dominant group. Awesome comparing to Kennedy Brooks. Kennedy Brooks also had that vision there at OU. Especially on those counter plays, just deadly. And you see that with Jonathan Brooks. Jaden Blue got some touches yesterday. Keelan Robinson was much more involved per my asking on Twitter. Make sure you guys are following us on Twitter, by the way. Let's see. I'm on TikTok, on everything out here. TikTok, Twitter, the whole bit. But y'all know what it is. Make sure you're following on all the platforms. Also, shout out to BUSR. Let's do a little promo bump right now while we're just chit-chatting and people are coming in. And make sure you hit that like button. BUSR.com/fanatic. Promo code sports100FP. And cool thing about that promo code is You can actually, in the first 24 hours of your initial deposit, they will match and free pay dollars up to 2,500. Now it is a 5-time rollover. So if you guys don't know what that means, make sure you look that up in terms of how much you have to bet before you can withdraw. I know if you're new to the betting industry or anything like that, you got to pay attention to the rollover. So it is a 5-time rollover, but 100% free play match on all initial deposits within the first 24 hours up to $2,500. Use that promo code Sports100FP. Great customer service there on BUSR. And I know it was a lot of craziness last night. I know I was talking to John from Locked On Longhorns, and he was like, "Yo, I hope you hit the over on SC versus UCLA," which we certainly did, which was 77 points. That was easy money. We knew what it was between Caleb Williams and DTR. But in terms of yesterday and everything going on here, very, very pleased with the bounce back. I stand by everything I said before. I know you guys want to talk about my disappointment video and records, and I see some people saying, hey, this is what I predicted. This is blah blah blah, and yeah, record predictions are one thing. Context of how things play out in the season is totally different animal. And when we have to talk about it, especially, I mean, look at college football playoff right now, like big picture, and the opportunity that is available to as many teams as I've seen in a long time. When you really think about it, like TCU is the door is their path is set for them, right? They just got to win Iowa State and then win the Big 12 championship. You look at Georgia, they just got to keep going and doing what they're doing. Michigan, Ohio State, even the loser could still be in play. LSU, if they went out, they're in play. Tennessee eliminated themselves yesterday by getting shellacked by South Carolina and Spencer Rattler. So when you look at the opportunity that's available across college football, that's why the USC game was so important last night. That's why Oregon beating Utah was so important last night, and what will shape up, assuming, and this is not even an assumption, USC starts to play Notre Dame. So it's a lot going on, but there's a lot of opportunity this year that was not expected, is what I'm saying. There's a lot of opportunity, and there were some teams that said, you know what, opportunities on the table. We got to be ahead of schedule to seize that moment. That's where I'm coming from. But in terms of breaking down yesterday, we got a super chat here. So let's Lane Harrison. Let me see. Let me make sure I get you crystal clear here. All right. Lane said, I don't mind the way Quinn had to play, especially the way we won this game. I believe this is part of his development now that they understand where he is currently within the system. Lane, thank you for the super chat. And I agree. I think thank you for always supporting us and the donation, greatly appreciated. But I agree in terms of yesterday in particular. I didn't have any problems with Quinn. I mean, they clearly kept the ball out of his hands, but when you're leaning on an opponent like that, and this goes back to even high school, we see this sometimes in high school football. When you're leaning on an opponent and you have an opportunity to physically dominate somebody, that's what you got to do. And you saw what Texas' game plan was. They got into a bunch of 3rd and 7s, and they would still run the football and get 4 and 5 yards and have no problem going for it on 4th down to run the football again, as they should, because until Kansas showed that they could stop anything or, form any type of disruption at the line of scrimmage, why wouldn't you do that? That's really the first thing you want to establish at any level of football if you can. And so with Texas having that ability to do that, then yeah, do that. And so I don't think you have. That's not the game for Clint to Quinn to go out there and empty the clip when it's 20, 30 degrees outside. Nah, we don't need to against that opponent. And look, Kansas had a really good season, and I'll say this, and I said this last night. The whole Jalen Daniels thing threw them off. I think if they had tried to work him back in and gone with Bean initially, they probably look more like their normal offense. Kansas is like top 20 offense in the country, and we made them look like child's play. Now our defense is playing like hot boys right now, and I love it. And I love what has happened on that side of the ball. You can see the level of confidence that they're playing with. I like the fact that Jahdae Barron was pissed off that he didn't open the game with a pick six. I love that he was pissed off about that because, brother, you were too good not to make that play, right? And so when you look at people trying to run RPO against them, people trying to run inside zone against them, like they get offended by it now. And I love that energy and that effort. The pass rush has improved. We know Jalen Daniels is very, very elusive and was making plays in and out of the pocket. However, the pressure and just the ability for us to just consistently cause disruption on their screen plays. I was very, very impressed with the defensive effort throughout. And, I, you know, that was a game yesterday where when you have the right mindset, that's how you can look with the ability of your football team. That's how you need to look next week against Baylor. Now Baylor's going to be a tough game. Okay, those guys are going to come in. Dave Aranda, they've had they've had an even more disappointing season considering where they wanted to be, and they were playing this past week for an opportunity to still be alive in this, and they lose on a last second field goal against a school that they is very close rival in TCU. Um, they have a lot of guys playing with pride, seniors, Texas, a whole hate bit. We need to see that same energy at DKR to close this, especially last game for Keandre Coburn, Overshown, Jameson, so many great, so many guys that have been in this program for a long time. We need to see that same, pissed off but controlled and measured energy that causes just execution from what we saw from this football team play after play. We need to see that next week. No, Lane, thank you for that super chat. Let me talk. Let's talk in the chat a little bit here. Yeah, prayers up for Rojo. I'm not sure what's. All I know is he was in that boot, and he clearly wasn't dressed after the game. But yeah, no, for sure, for sure. AJ said the overly optimistic crowd coming after us realists like we want our team to do bad. We're just holding the team accountable. Want to see progression. We saw that yesterday. Completely agree with this comment. I make one. I make one video where I felt like I was very articulate, and maybe I need to have this conversation on a broader scale. I don't want this just to be you know where I'm not even bashing the team. I'm just, phrasing, hey, based upon the context of this entire college football season and what we saw from our team and what we viewed initially as the strengths and weaknesses that didn't turn out to be the way they were as we predicted, and how everything plays out and the blown leads. Yeah, I'm disappointed with how this season played out considering what was on the table. And now I'm negative, and I'm this and that, and yeah, it's holding people accountable. And you know what, AJ and everybody out there, we did the same thing last year. I did the same thing last year when Pete Kwiatkowski's defense, and knowing how good of a defensive coordinator he was all those years in the Pac Northwest, we were sucking ass last year. And you know what? I made a chart and we held him accountable. And I just said, I want us to be better. And that's all I'm doing with Steve Sarkisian. That's all I'm doing. I personally think over his first 23 games at Texas, he should be better than 12 and 11 with what he has. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Now, I agree that there is progression happening. I agree that we are definitely heading in the right direction, especially with how they're building with physicality, how they're building in the trenches. These things, we will see the fruits of these efforts, I'm hoping, very soon down the road. I cannot stress that enough. But we cannot assume, please hear me out, we cannot assume that things are just going to go hunky dory and on schedule in college football, especially with these rosters. I don't think I don't think the general public is ready for how much turnover is about to occur once this season ends, and it's already begun. Start paying attention to some of the names you're seeing in the transfer portal, not just at our school, but across the board. Okay. So, all I'm saying is the nature of this sport has also changed. And I didn't even account for that my own self before the season started, that this is starting to become more of a year to year thing. And you need to be one of the top dog programs so that you have the margin to build 3, 4 years and stack together the way you want to. I'm just saying, some of you guys know what I'm talking about. Some of you guys are going to be, January is going to come around. You're going to be up for like, okay, I see where he was going with that. I'm going to leave it at that. But in terms of finishing out this season, yeah, let's get to 8-4. Let's get to a good bowl game against a good opponent. I want this team to continue to be tested. Renzo Abernathy said, I had us going 8-4 this year. Yeah, we need to get to it's just good momentum, good positive momentum. We do lose a lot on D, but nobody brings that up. I think everybody's just assuming that the defense is coming back. Are we on schedule to make a New Year's Six bowl next year? I hope so. I hope so. Especially, and this is thing, right? Like, assuming Quinn Ewers can make that stride and take ownership of the offense. And just with Quinn, one thing I'm also looking for, people pay so much attention to his body language and his demeanor. He's always been that way. What I'm saying is uh, his feet and his pace of play as a player. I, excuse me, and I can tell he's been, even since Bama, which is valid. He hasn't even the swagger and bounce, the natural bounce he even had as a passer, hasn't really been the same since coming back. I mean, OU, he shredded OU, but I mean that was just a perfect storm of an avalanche waiting to happen to OU. But with Quinn, what I'm looking for is, when I watched him at Southlake, I actually thought he was underrated athletically in terms of just his feet, his movement, his creativity. Um, and I know it's in there, and I know he can get back. And part of that's just confidence. I think you become sometimes a little bit of a statue, and you're just sitting there and you're just trying to process. What I'm looking for this offseason and in this relationship with Sark is to get him to a comfort standpoint where he feels comfortable, where he can go off script, but he's also able to just execute the routine stuff, and he has that natural bounce to his step. I'm not, how he is on the sideline, and he's a quiet dude, and the team believes in him, and we know that. That does not need to be up for question. But in terms of just how he's moving around, I think that is very, 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 very key to his development. Because when you watch some of these other young guys, whether it's the Drake Mays of the world, the Caleb Williams of the world, these guys look explosive, man. Not just throwing the football, but just, I mean, even the NFL today, some of the best passers in the world, and whether it's the Justin Herberts that we watch, the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allens, how they're able to navigate traffic. Not all of them are explosive athletes per se, but they have explosive movement. And with Quinn, I want to see, and I saw some of those things at Southlake. So I know it's there. But for me, it's more on him than it is on Sark to put the work in and the train and to get to that point of comfort. Because we know Sark historically, regardless of how you feel, and I know I've said my piece about Sark, but Sark's track record with quarterbacks over the last 20 years is as good as anybody's. We can't dispute that. So we know when guys decide to put the work in with Sark, we know what the results have been over time. So to me, it's on Quinn to say, hey, from January to when spring ball starts, I've got to take ownership of this thing. I've got to take ownership of this thing big time. It is very, very key here. So um, we to me that's where Quinn has to grow on his own. The coach can't make you work or make you do all of these things, but um, I'm confident that if he's willing to put that work in and take ownership of this, he can be a terrific player next season in Sark's offense. I'm not saying he's going to win the O'Brien Award or all this type of stuff, but I think with time he can do those things, and we're going to need it. I mean, we're losing firepower from the offense. We're not going to have Bijan Robinson next year. I love Jay Brooks. Don't get me twisted, okay? But when you look at guys like Roshan, Bijan, that's a lot. It's a lot of production. A lot of guys that you've been able to just turn around and lean on over time. Let's get back to the chat here. Uh, Nah, yeah, Jay Brooks definitely impresses me every single time, though. He's going to be a problem. And the offensive line, the development with them, I think that's one very thing that is without a doubt exciting, especially what Kyle Flood's got going on. Next year's offensive line competition in the spring. I mean, tackle wise, Christian Jones goes to the draft. Big Cam, I would assume, steps in at right tackle. I think he should compete for it, of course. But assuming Big Cam wins right tackle, I now have, in my opinion, a freshman All American player at left tackle and Kelvin Banks returning, who is probably going to be my all Big 12 ish left tackle going into 2023. I have one of the best players in the conference at left tackle penciled in. I have Big Cam at right tackle penciled in. I have DJ, right? DJ starting to come along and make his name known. So I got 52 playing somewhere there in the interior. Jake Majors, Cole Hudson, who's gotten a lot of work this year, Hayden Connor, who's super huge and can play a multitude of positions inside and out. Neto's been getting reps. Malik Agbo, they love Malik Agbo, and you saw him playing yesterday. The depth, the competition is going to be very exciting. Very, very exciting next season. Very, very exciting. Next week will be a very emotional game. I don't think those seniors are going to allow a loss against Baylor be the last home game they'll ever play. I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case. Austin, and if y'all remember, Austin came on to do the Oklahoma State preview with us. Yeah, that's part of the disappointment aspect, man. When you see football teams playing like that, and it's like, damn, that's not only did we lose to them, but we blew a 2-score lead to those dudes, and that's their product. How can you not be disappointed? Um, I mean, because of that situation is why we're not where we should be, which is in the Big 12 championship game already. We're now having, and for those that aren't aware of the scenario, we need Kansas, who we just obliterated. We need Kansas to go into Manhattan and beat Kansas State next week. So we need to take care of our business, senior day, beat Baylor, and we also need Kansas to beat Kansas State. And from everything I know, Texas will, if that happens, Texas could be the first 3-loss Big 12 team, I believe. to make the conference title game. In terms of three conference losses, not three loss outright, three conference losses. Because right now, Kansas State only has two conference losses. And I don't think anybody worse than two has ever made to that game in Arlington. But if all it takes is two things have to happen. Texas wins, Kansas wins. We'll see. Do 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 do. That's this Tyler every week. That needs to be the mindset every week, especially now that even the young guys that have been in the program, the young guys that have played a lot, like they should be right. When did I say? I never said Kelvin Banks is leaving. What? You see, this is the type of stuff. Chris, stop. I just said Kelvin Banks is penciled in at left tackle next year. What? Stop this. Stop it. That's one of your pillars. That's not what I'm talking about at all. Kelvin Banks is one of your pillars. I just kind of went through the competition. Maybe I missed this chat earlier. Um, no, no, no. That's not what I'm talking about. And please, guys, I don't put stuff like this on the chat and people say I'm out here because they'll blame it on me. They don't know who you are. They're gonna blame me. And they're gonna say, Steve out here spreading misinformation. I haven't said no names. But I'm that is not a name that's not remotely who I was talking about. Not at all. I just went through the yeah, I brought up roster changes and you just started throwing out random names. Don't do that. Uh I love you though, Christopher. You're my guy. You're my guy. No, no. So let's also address this one because of how this season has played out. And this is where media is going to get involved too, right? This is where media will get involved. So we need to talk. We need to nip this in the bud right now because of of the dip that Quinn has had in his production at the end of his freshman year, the last half of his freshman year, we should say at this point, because that's just the reality. They're going to automatically push Arch versus Quinn and make this mass. And you know how it is with QB controversies at Texas. Y'all already shoot. We couldn't handle ourselves with Casey Thompson versus Hudson Card. And we saw how it was with Hudson Card versus Quinn Ewers. So they're automatically going to push Quinn Ewers versus Arch Manning. Here's the thing. If there's a plan for Arch to Rich and the whole family's aligned with that, and from a physical standpoint, from a playbook standpoint, all of these things, then the communication needs to be out loud from jump from the Texas program, in my opinion. What the plan is, in my opinion, I think that would be what's best for if you're rolling with Quinn and say Malik Murphy's going to be your QB2, because I'm assuming Hudson Card is going to go find a starting opportunity at a college at a Power Five school. Then you say, hey, I'm rolling with Quinn and Malik is my room for 2023. We are developing Arch. Arch is going to be redshirted. I think you have to come flat out and say that because you're just opening up the door for mess. If it's like, oh, well, and I know it's not common to do that. I know it's not, you don't want to show your cards and all of those things. You don't want to do that. But I'm telling you, if especially since Arch is going to be an early enrollee, especially since he's an early enrollee, it's going to happen as soon as he sets foot on campus. People are going, oh, is Arch competing against Quinn? Blah, blah, blah. Like, if I'm Sark, I'm being out loud about the plan and saying, not this year. We're developing Quinn Ewers. We're developing Malik Murphy. That's who we're rolling with. Arch, the plan for him. We're going to get him in here, get him exposed to the playbook, get his body right, and we think we have a special quarterback on our hands down the road. That's how I would handle it. I mean, everybody has said uh, red shirt. But here's the thing, and Andrew, you brought it up. Yes, it's been talked about all throughout his recruitment, but how many times have somebody said something 1,000 times and the media doesn't care and they go with a narrative anyway because that's what's going to sell. Like they're not going to like, and I'm not saying our local media. I'm just saying national media in general, college football in general. Arch, we have to understand how big Arch is as a brand, as a Manning. This transcends, like you're going to have people like Stephen A. Smith talking about this, right? So people aren't going to care about what the plan is in terms of what has been talked about while he's at Isidore Newman. They're going to hear, oh, he enrolled at Texas. How soon is it until he becomes a starting quarterback? Especially since his uncles became starting quarterbacks as freshmen. I think both Peyton and Eli took over as freshmen, if I'm not mistaken. So you're going to hear those things. And I just think it's incumbent upon our program to be prepared for that, especially since we have our we've invested a lot of time this season with Quinn's development. I'll be damned if we waste another year and then screw that over and then start moving another direction. Because that's been the reason why people have been telling me we're not in competing for the conference and competing for playoffs because, oh, we got to develop and get this stuff right. Okay, well, if we're going to do that, last year we spent all this time developing somebody else's quarterback, which was Casey Thompson, who's now in Nebraska. All those reps went away from the program. So now that this year all the reps stay with number three, then that's who I'm rolling with next year. And that's who we got to get ready, unless something crazy happens or injury happens. But that's where time needs to be spent, or else we're going to be stuck in this loop, in my opinion. I agree about between Quinn and Murphy because Murphy has been here. That's totally different. But with Arch, stick with the original plan. I agree with anything about that. Uh, so I'm gonna kind of skip through and roll. What's up, Brandon? How the playoffs looking, man? How the playoffs looking? Good morning, my brother. Also, I want to take a quick commercial break and push two things real quick. Number one, congratulations to the Leander Lions, coached by one Jonathan Tran, led by his son, Jordan Tran, as they won their Super Bowl yesterday, 38-14. Very, very excited for Coach Tran, his brother, Jason Tran, Texas Longhorn, former player, Coach Brandon Arrington, my buddy BA, who's been on here multiple times. They got it done. They won their first Super Bowl. The Leander Lions, 38-14. Can't be more excited for them. So I wanted to announce that. And already back up. They're at a tournament, all-star game tournament today, this morning. So Tran and them got their first championship. They are champions now. After last year, we know the disappointment that happened in the championship game that I attended. This year, Brother Steve did not attend, and they got it done. 38-14, dominant victory. It was 30 degrees outside. These little 6 and 7 year olds were balling. Okay. These little kids were balling. All right. Getting it done. So happy for them. The other thing I want to give a shout out to is our good friends over at Last Stand Hats, the new sponsor of Fanatic Perspective. LastStandHats.com/Fanatic Perspective. Promo code Fanatic10. Guys, we are in holiday season. Everybody's doing their Christmas shopping, feeling good. It's that time of the year. Y'all, all your friends out there looking for Longhorn merch, hit up laststandhats.com/Fanatic Perspective, promo code Fanatic10. some of the best hats in the game, polos, t-shirts, hoodies are coming. Texas baseball's coming up. If you're looking to bless somebody with some Texas baseball gear, go to Last Stand Hats right now and hook them up. I can't, great Christmas gifts, um, birthday presents, or you're just looking to get some merch for Baylor or our bowl game that we will be having, right? Hit up Last Stand Hats. We'll take care of you. Fanatic 10% off at checkout. All right, back to the chat. Yes, congrats to Brother Tran. Congrats to Brother Tran. We are so happy for him. Got that ship. Um, Brennan plays LT next week. Yep. Yep. I would say this. You never know, especially in college football. I would assume Quinn Ewers is going to be just fine and continue to develop and hold on to that job. Um, but I would like there to be a push in the room, not just by Arch being there, but also by Malik and his development. There's nothing wrong with pushing a player. Nothing wrong with pushing a player. I mean, look at Sark's quarterback room that he had before with Mac and Tua and Jalen Hurts. Push guys, man. Come on. Come on. We want that push because, or else we're going to get into games and guys haven't been pushed, and then you know we don't get the performance that we're expecting from the player. That's the only way you're going to get to me. That's the only way you're going to get that performance out of them. Especially those of you who have either performed at this level or coached at this level. Y'all understand the importance of having competition, even behind very talented and gifted players. Yeah, I mean, we have to be prepared for it. That's going to be the noise. I'm telling y'all, that's going to be the primary noise this offseason around Texas football is this quarterback situation. Now, had Quinn Ewers been continued after OU, right, and finished the season as a freshman phenom, and like Caleb did or Trevor Lawrence or anything like that, especially like numbers wise, then I don't think that noise would be there this offseason. Now he still has an opportunity to go ham on Baylor and go ham in the bowl game. I hope it happens. But right now it looks like, we are built around running that rock and trying to win these games and get up out of here. Right. And so because of that, I'm just saying that's the story that's going to get pushed. And y'all know it. I don't have to keep repeating that. Y'all know it. Um, Now, here's the thing too, and this is why I'm 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 holding this team feet to the fire. Your running back room's still going to be really good next year, even with the firepower leaving. Hoping Rojo gets healthy, and I'm happy he got his Senior Bowl invite, accepted his Senior Bowl invite. God bless that brother, right? Bijan, we know at this point, Bijan, it's just what team in the first round is going to take him, right? And go ahead and I'm putting money, shout out to BUSR. As soon as the bet is available, I told Homer this last night. As soon as the bet is available, I am betting on Bijan Robinson, offensive rookie of the year in the NFL next year. Or don't even need to think about it. I'm betting. I don't know what team he's going to. I'm betting on him to win offensive rookie of the year. That's how strongly I feel about that, brother. Now, uh, even with all that firepower leaving, I get Cedric Baxter Jr. coming in. I have Jonathan Brooks, little baby Jamal Charles back there. I have Jaden Blue, who's dynamic and tons of speed behind these bullies on the offensive line. Underrated, underrated tight ends. I got. We'll see what happens with the receivers. We'll see what happens but I know regardless of what happens with the receivers, we're gonna have talented receivers out there. that can play. I hope they can get Jay Witt to come back one more year. I hope they are able to work something out there. I would pitch him and see if he can come back. But regardless of what happens with the receivers, I have Jatavian Sanders, one of the best tight ends in the country. I have an amazing offensive line, in my opinion, that I think will already next year you can start to say, hey, this is one of the best, most talented offensive lines in the country. Point is, the kingdom is being built. Everything you would want for a successful situation for a quarterback, the coach is there, the line is there, the backs are there, the speed is there. I just need somebody to run it. That's what I'm looking for. I just need somebody to run it. I don't even need you to be like Bryce Young creating everything for me where there's all these deficiencies. I just need you to run it. Like everything's being built, honestly. These coaches, like they're getting more dogs in recruiting. They're not getting less. You have freaks out there. I just need whoever's going to be out there at quarterback. I just need you to be able to run the system next year. Honestly, that's why I'm I'm not saying hard on. I mean, I don't know how else y'all want me to say this, but like it shouldn't be that difficult to play to be a successful quarterback here moving forward with what Texas will have at their disposal. It shouldn't be. They have a lot. I'm not asking you to go out there at full air raid and throw a million times a game. Look at yesterday. When you play somebody small, we can turn around and run that rock 50 times and blow somebody up just in run game. You don't even got to do nothing. And it's not, and look, also quarterback play, it's a tough game. And you also need to help them out too. All right. This is not a one-sided thing. Xavier Worthy, love X. Love X. But I mean, the hands, right? Like to me, that's a good catchable ball that was thrown. That's a drop. To me, that's a drop. The level of player that you should be, you got to go make that play for my quarterback. So we need some people because yesterday I'm watching USC UCLA, and yeah, Caleb Williams is balling. Caleb Williams, like that's what a generational quarterback looks like. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Texas fans and OU fans that are people that are still stubborn. Go watch Caleb Williams tape. Yes, that's what generational QB play looks like. Even with Caleb Williams, whether it's Kyle Ford, whether it was Jordan Addison, whether it's Mario Williams, even Davis out of the back, what's his face out the backfield, they would make plays for the quarterback on balls that weren't perfect or mossing somebody. Like they were going and getting the football. So we got to be like it's a two-way street. Yeah, you want somebody back there that can sling it and be dynamic and push the team down the field and bring that explosiveness. Yes, Caleb Williams it would I right now if I had to vote, I would vote Caleb Williams for my 2022 Heisman Trophy winner. Um, the Hendon Hooker team Hendon Hooker we went down in flames. We had a good fight, but after what has happened in Tennessee, we are down in flames on the Hendon Hooker ship. Caleb Williams deserves, to me, now if CJ Stroud goes out and blows up Michigan and then wins the Big Ten championship, they might do that Ohio State BS. But I think as long as Caleb plays well next week against Notre Dame, he's able to win the Pac-12. I think that's your Heisman winner, in my opinion. But not every throw it's not every throw was just like surgical. Like Jordan Addison's making plays. Kyle Ford is making plays. Those guys are going and getting the football. And so one of the things that was frustrating even in the TCU game, we had guys that were also that could have helped Quinn at times. It helped his confidence. And brothers are dropping the ball. Let's call a spade a spade. Brothers are dropping the ball. So this whole passing system, if we want to get to our potential next season and what I think we all know that this group of players is capable of, everybody has to execute. Everybody has to play up to their abilities. It's not just Quinn. Now, Quinn is a big part of that, and his development is important, but everybody has to go and get the rock. So who brought up TCU? Was it Christopher? But y'all, okay, but to Christopher's point about TCU, about Duggan, Max Duggan is not the most accurate quarterback. He's not. But his guys, now granted, their catch radius is insane between Savion and QJ. Their catch radius is insane. But they play a crap load of 10 personnel with Darius Davis and Tay Barber as well. They throw the ball to small little backs. And I see dudes out here snagging drinks consistently, going and get it in contact, getting hit by safeties. Max is not the most accurate dude. He'll put it in the vicinity, but he has people going and getting it. So again, it has to be um, it has to be a collective effort from the passing game. Because to me, we can't just blame all of this. I know the pass pro isn't perfect, but we can't blame all of this on just pressure. It's not like Quinn has had crazy pressure every single game. And it's not like every single game guys are having to, fight through all this contact and can't make a contested catch either. So let's call a spade a spade. This is where I'm saying if people are not performing up to their abilities, we have to challenge them. I'm not saying anybody should be fired. I'm not saying anybody should be recruited over. I'm not saying anybody should be benched. That's not what I'm saying. Same going back to what I said with PK last year. When things are not happening the way they should be, we'll call it out, improve. I'm team Pete, like Pete, and what's crazy too is I think some of you guys in the fan base go too hard in one direction to where you don't want to come back to where the truth is. That's what we're seeing right now with PK, where nobody in our fan base wants to give him his flowers. I'm not gonna say nobody. A lot of people are giving PK his flowers. Let me be fair. See, I almost did it myself. I had to check myself. There's a lot of people giving PK his flowers. But we haven't collectively, I think, as a group, embraced the fact that our defensive coordinator, who has one of the best track records in college football from a development standpoint, from a production standpoint, is doing the job we hired him to do. And I'm happy with what Gary Patterson has brought, and especially some of the corrections that he's made technically with our DBs. But front seven related, that's PK and that's Jeff Choate, okay? As well as Bo Davis working with the boys in the trenches on the inside. But that's PK's, like in terms of schematically, that's PK's baby on the front seven. So what you guys are seeing with Jalen Ford and the strides that he's made in months, the strides that you're seeing now from Baron Sorrell, who's another one that's coming. Baron Sorrell impressed me against Kansas yesterday. I'm gonna tell you why, because he had an all-time game. Baron Sorrell had an all-time game against TCU. Unfortunately, we lost the game, so we don't talk about it. But if you go look at Baron Sorrell's stat line from TCU, he had an all-time game at TCU against TCU. And he came back against Kansas and brought the same energy. That's where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm seeing I'm seeing something special here with another guy who's starting to come along and get it. Slowly but surely, you're starting to see Justice Finkley getting more pressures. Some of those loopers yesterday, he's getting home and leveraging some of his quickness. So there's some good stuff happening there. But when we rightfully criticize PK a year one, he deserved criticism. But we have to say, you know what? Okay, you fixed it, coach. Great job. We applaud you. But because people were so mad and went to, hey, let's fire the guy, now you don't want to come back and say, oh, you know what? I'm impressed with how you've fixed things, developed things, as well as adjusted. PK also had to adjust to his personnel, to the conference, to working with coaches that he did not hire. Do we forget this too? The only coach I think PK actually brought in himself was Jeff Choate. All the other staff was already here before he got hired. So yes, he deserves. Again, I gave him heat. He deserved heat. When you don't perform, this is Texas. We are a blue blood program. When you don't perform or you don't perform to your abilities, you should be challenged. You deserve the criticism on the field. But we're not going to overreact. We're going to allow you to fix it. We're going to allow you to improve, adapt. And he's done that. And he deserves freaking credit. And you know what? He's done such a great job that's why I felt like we now should have been ahead of schedule because he corrected so much in 1 year, in my opinion. But I'll chill out. I'll chill out. Yeah, Ethan Burke. Here's the thing with Burke, people like Burke, um, and the continuity will help us over time too with the coaching staff. That I agree with you. I'm tired of firing coaches. Continuity will help us. But with people like Burke, and I'm gonna get up to this super chat from CDOT. Um, we just need to get their bodies right. This is what happened to me. This is one of the differences I've seen with Baron Sorrell. Why you see Baron Sorrell not just playing good football, but playing good football late in the season because his body is equipped to do it. So Ethan Burke, that's the challenge for him. Same thing you saw with some other young guys that are playing good football late in the season. Their bodies are built better and built better to handle long term, the amount of snaps, all these things. So you're seeing guys come on late in the season because they built well. So guys like Ethan Burke need to be the next ones from that class afterwards to embrace the challenge. You have your first offseason and strength and conditioning program. Let's get you looking like $1 million, man. Let's get you looking like you're supposed to go to the NFL, bro, so that you could come out there and wreak havoc. That's going to be very, very key for a lot of guys. Um, is their physical development. I believe Ethan Burke can play football right now from an IQ standpoint, from a technique standpoint, and help us out a lot. But his body's not there, from my perspective. Let's get him there. These are people that can help us next year, especially as some guys are going to move on to the NFL. Oh yeah, the Bash brothers are getting back together again. Queenie, Bash brothers are back in town. That's going to be some exciting times. And now to me, Vasic is somebody that body wise at least is a little bit more developed the way I like to see that can help us even early on just um with some things coming along. So I'm excited for that group, that Westlake bunch, the Bash brothers, to get back together. It's gonna be exciting. Edge is coming along, and you still have the portal too. Um, Also, C Doc, I don't. I forgot. I'm sorry. You're. This is the. See, just taking quick accountability. Quick accountability. That's all it is. No, we all get mad. I know. Look, a lot of y'all are still upset about what I said last week. It is what it is. I'm not. I've done more than articulate uh, why I'm at where I'm at, and again, understanding that disappointment is a lot different from failure. Nobody is saying that this is a failure. There's been a lot of great stuff that's happened this year, but Texas right now, all I've said is within context of what happened this season and how all these teams looked, Texas has no business hoping that we somebody else beats somebody else so we can get in the Big 12 championship game. We were better than that this year. It's okay to say that, but yeah, I mean, still hella excited for what's happening, what's coming forward, um, and if they can finish strong, if they can finish with 9 wins, win this game against Baylor, if they get to the Big 12 championship game, then hell, go get your revenge against TCU. But also, let's assume they just have 2 games left and they finish 9-4. Go be hunters. Go be hunters in the portal, right? Go because now the thing is the people that we couldn't get from the portal last year because our defensive metrics were atrocious, that has been silenced. You can't pull that anymore. Development, check, right? Production, check. We got better as the season went on defensively, check. So if you're a player out there that's looking for a home and we need some edge help, we're going to need linebacker depth. We're going to need linebacker depth. We're going to need potentially corner help. You can come to Texas and have a home here with what PK and this group is building. I can confidently say that. I couldn't confidently say that before this season started. So our pitch is a lot stronger to defensive recruits than it was before the season started. That's a positive. It's a big positive. And so I you know, we have to be hunters out here because it's gonna be crazy uh, with some of the names that are gonna be in this thing. You can really, really, really shake your team up and get some good help if you play your cards right. But we need to be hunters and not be the people that get poached. Because that's really what college football turned into too. Thank you, Peter Young. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. No, yeah, no. We gotta work the portal for sure. Savion Red's been playing a little bit. And I want to continue to see, especially the receiver position. I think that's something that uh, that's been a disappointment for me is the lack of reps for some of the guys at receiver. Um, I mean, we load up 1 or 2 people with all the targets, and I've said this before. I'm not gonna hold my tongue, man. Like you guys as a staff have done such a good job. And I didn't like it at first, especially with the defensive rotations, and I still have questions at times. But they got all these people playing football and rotating them in and had a purpose. They were rotating people in and they had young people playing on the offensive line. But then they get so stingy with the receivers. And that's what confuses me. We have the grace for the quarterback who's young. And we let him go and figure stuff out. But God forbid you come out and miss a blocking assignment as a receiver, and now you're fired for the next 2 weeks. I I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like blowing somebody's red shirt and they only play 2 snaps or 1 snap. So I would like to see personally over the next few weeks if we can work in some more reps and continue to give people work. Let's do it. We need these people. We need these people next year. Because what I don't want to hear is we get to 2023 and the receivers are behind because they haven't gotten enough work. And it's like, bruh, we could have done this. If y'all are telling me that this is development season, then they need to be playing right now. What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? So that's my 2 cents on it. But a little, I mean, not everything's gonna be perfect. I would like to see Ryan Watts come back next year. I think Ryan Watts can really help himself with another year here. Um, and just locking it in again as boundary corner. I think he can really, especially if he shows just improves his ball skills a little bit because the physicality's there, the size is there. His speed is good for his size. He wasn't really getting torched. Even like I thought he may gotten torched a few times. I didn't see that. I'd like to see Ryan Watts come back another year. Um, at this point, Jalen Ford, with the grades that I think he's going to get from the league, I don't see how he wouldn't go to the league, honestly. If I'm being honest. Yeah, I would love for Jalen Ford to come back selfishly. But again, at his position, it's very similar to running backs, where limited, I mean, I quote this all the time with Mike Tomlin, you have to look like what you hunt. Um, I would like to see Jalen Ford come back. But if he goes to the league, it's totally justifiable with what he's shown, the grades that he's going to get, and keeping himself. I don't know how it's really hard to put up that type of tape 2 years in a row. Um, I think going now while you're healthy, getting the insurance, getting the benefits, getting the money, and continuing your career, especially if that's your dream and your dream is to be an NFL player. If you're getting what some of the stuff they're talking about, I think he's probably, I don't know. That's just me speculating. But Ryan Watts, I would definitely like to see Ryan Watts come back next year for sure. Let's see here. Do you think we should start leaning towards recruiting dual threat QBs? I've always been a big fan of dual threat QBs, but Anthony, you have to factor in the head coach, who is also the person responsible for developing the quarterbacks, along with AJ Milwee, of course, and who is, you know, has a system. He doesn't like those type of quarterbacks. He wants his quarterbacks to play from the pocket, be cerebral, process, and run his system. He doesn't prefer that type of quarterback. Now, the trends that we're seeing, not just in college football but in the NFL, say you want to have somebody that can do both. And not to say that somebody that can't do both can't play in Sark's system. That's not what I'm saying either. But yeah, I mean, I would always, and we have people here that can be more dual threat. By the way, they just are coached to play a certain way. So we have to understand that as well. D line wise, I think I think Sweat goes. I think Coburn. I think Sweat goes. Um, I would love to have Sweat back. I think Sweat can come back, but I know that in the NFL scouting community, they like Sweat, and there's some people that think Sweat can help some teams next year. So again, and I think Sweat's been here 4 years. That's the other thing we have to factor in, how long guys have already been at school. So if you've been here 4 years, you've already graduated, and you're ready to kind of get the next phase of your life started. We have to factor that in too. I mean, nobody loved Texas more than Sam Ellinger, and he had an option to come back another year, and he still went to the league. Think about that. Nobody loved the NFL more than Sam Ellinger, and he still went. I mean, because at some point it's like, I've been here 4 or 5 years. It's time to begin that next phase of my life. So we have to, and those aren't things you're going to know just from watching somebody from afar. It's also some of the personal relationships and kind of understanding where people's life circumstances are and all those things. But you know, the more people they can convince to come back, especially on the defense, the better. Because every person that leaves, that's a person now that you have to replace. Yeah, I mean, just again, if any of the NFL scouting people you follow, they always kind of have a eye open to you know what's going on, and their names are out there. They like these guys, and that's good. It's good for Texas. It's good for our brand. We need people going to the league and getting drafted. By the way, because that's been we've been getting destroyed on that with our recruiting pitch. So we do need guys. It's kind of crazy. We do need guys going to that next level and succeeding, but we also want them to be high picks too. We don't. We've had a lot of guys that are fifth round, sixth round, seventh round undrafted, and they go off to be productive. But and it's like, oh, we proved our point. But boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Um, I don't. I got to talk to Landon about this because Landon, like Landon knows Troy. Um, I love O'Mary. I just think with all of what he's gone through, a fresh start would be very helpful because it's hard being in and out of the training room. And we've talked about this a little bit on Twitter Spaces, but I think a transfer would help him mentally. I don't think it's anything about yeah, we I would love, it sucks because we haven't really gotten to use I'm glad he was able to get on the football field this year and catch a couple passes and, start to make that stride. But I think from a personal standpoint, um, finding finding somewhere to go mentally to where you're not looking at the same training tape, you're not looking at the same training room. You've been going through all this BS with your knee. Um, it's just bad luck. It's bad luck. So maybe he can find that luck um, next year with more health. Because I mean, even watching him run, I don't know if we'll ever see Troy run the same way he ran when we saw him like early freshman year. So it's also what's best for the kid. I mean, we're always thinking about we as fans are only thinking from Texas standpoint. I'm trying to think of this from like not Texas is not the best ideal situation for every single kid either, based upon certain circumstances. And sometimes mentally, it's just like, hey, maybe you need to go and understand that I need a fresh start, breath of fresh air. This is not the place where I got hurt. This is not the place where I screwed up my knee and all that. It's time to hunker down and get it done. David Williams, I'm gonna go for a few more minutes and then we'll wrap. Or as long as y'all want to talk. They lost in the semis. Damn. Checking in. Anyway, corner depth will be good. Ryan Watts is all Big 12 this year. Terrence Brooks played much better against TCU than yesterday. I agree with that. Likely a starter next year. Yeah, with with all the work that Terrence has gotten and will continue to get, um, I think we have to assume he will be a starter next year. Malik Muhammad is a shutdown corner in the 2023 class. Yeah, we are big Malik Muhammad fans on this channel. Big Malik Muhammad fans. But I agree with that comment. W- David, what can we get there with Jameer Johnson too? We need to get that brother's confidence up. To me, we need. I'm asking David Williams this question. Do you think we can get there with Jameer Johnson as well? Because we invested a lot of time into him, and we also have some other young guys too that are playing our special teams units, like Austin Jordan, who's helping out a lot. But um, I was impressed with Terrence Brooks. Now he did get stiff armed into oblivion yesterday. We gotta keep it a buck. T Brooks did get baptized yesterday against Kansas, but it's okay because we won, and he'll be back up. But I think Terrence is going to be, especially when he gets his confidence and technique down. Also, body wise, we still need to get there with him body wise a little bit too. Once he's there, I think he'll be good. But yeah, I'm curious to get y'all's thoughts with Jameer because I see the tools with Jameer. I just don't see the confidence personally. Yeah, that's a good point, Nash. I've had a lot of guys over the years that could have helped us if they'd stay one more year. They go undrafted, and but at the same token, it's tough. It's tough because the, you know the team has been frustrated with not achieving their goals. We haven't been involved in the mix for the conference championship like we should be year over year, every year, right? This year, hopefully, we get in there. But when guys aren't playing for things meaningful, and it's like, all right, well, we're 8-5, I'm bouncing, right? And it's like, yeah, you could have come back and helped, all those type of things. Well, we also have to consider like some dudes are mercenaries, and Texas just happened to be the best school, excuse me, and fit for them. Um, some people are, yeah, loyal to the soil. They're going to try to stick it out as long as they can to be Longhorns. But I mean, you have a mix of people and motivations too. NIL will help with some of those people, I think, than it could have before, um, to a certain degree. But yeah, yeah, we'll hopefully see, all of the attrition that happens throughout college football actually net play in Texas's favor, even if that's coming from somebody else's roster and not ours right now. I'll put it that way. Uh, nah, we need Ojimo back. I would, I would, I, I would advise Ojimo come back. Um, I think he can have an amazing season next year with the combination of some of the young talent coming in, the Byron Murphys of the world that are still on the roster, but he'll have more room to be a badass because we'll need him to, since Coburn will be gone and we'll assume T Sweat's gone. So no, Ojimo better come back. He better come back. We need him. That's very important. So this is a big thing right now. Um, you have to recruit your roster. That's you're gonna have to recruit your roster. Whether it's, hey, I want to go play my last college season in my home state I'm not from Texas, whether it's I'm getting a 4 to 6 grade in the draft and I think I'm ready. And even if I get a 4 to 6 grade, I rather go and get out of school and start working out and get like. Coaches are gonna have to recruit them against that and say, hey, we are the better situation for you, short and long term. So there are a list of players. Jordan Whittington is one of them who I think the staff should be recruiting to be on the team next season. Ojimo is one of those people. If that's even in consideration, I don't know. This is just purely speculative. I'm just talking with y'all right now. We're talking like we're in the barbershop or we're having a family meeting right now. Okay. Um, but these are people that they should be trying to do everything they can to make sure that they hold on the roster next year. Because you guys can't sit up here and tell me this is why I get frustrated with the TCU stuff. I'll be honest with you, because one thing that has kind of upset me is people saying, "Well, Steve, TCU is good. They're 11-0 because they're so experienced, right? Like they returned all these guys, these super seniors, blah blah blah." Okay, and we heard that with Iowa State the year before, right? But here's the thing: more so with TCU because Sonny Dykes is in year one. They changed. They are running a completely different defense than what Gary Patterson was running the year before. By the way, so as experienced as they are, they still had to. They still switched to 3-3-5 and running something totally different than what he ran. But the bigger thing with TCU is if everyone is going to use the experience excuse and just say, "Oh, they have way more, all this experience," then why were they picked seventh to in the Big 12 before the season started? We knew before the season started that TCU was going to be loaded with experience, but they had a first year coach. And most people had TCU around 6 wins. So if we are going to bang this drum about all this experience and people coming back, why was TCU picked to finish seventh? And if we knew that Texas was as young as Texas was, why was Texas picked to finish fourth? So we can't just group every factor into experience. Like, give Sonny Dykes his credit for doing the damn thing over there. And Gillespie and Garrett Riley. Like at some point it's also, yeah, but I'm coaching my ass off and I got buy-in. I got buy-in from older guys who weren't performing under the last staff. So we also have to factor in like no matter what age or level of experience you are at, buy-in is still important in terms of the culture, learning, and development rapidly as a group, and also learning how to win. We can't just group everything into, oh, well, they're just winning because they return 90% of their starters. Then you should have put bread down on TCU being good when they were picked to finish seventh in the conference. Y'all should have put, if that's all it comes down to. Because I know hella teams out here in college football that have a lot of experience too, full of super seniors, and they suck. So it's not just you can have all the seniors in the world, but brothers can't play, they can't play. So we have to understand, we have to understand that you need to get buy-in. And you gotta do what you gotta do to win games. You gotta do what you gotta do to win games. Yeah, Riley's brother. Riley's brother's definitely gone. Somebody plucking him. Somebody's plucking him for sure. Yeah, and Max Duggan. Oh, fun fact: Max Duggan didn't win the job. By the way, they picked the less experienced guy in Chandler Morris. Now, Chandler Morris had also played before, but Chandler Morris didn't have nearly the experience level as Max Duggan had. And Chandler Morris defeated Max Duggan, but he got hurt, and Max Duggan took over. Rest is history. So we got to factor that in too. But I'm just saying that because I'm hearing a lot of people discount Sonny Dykes as if going 11-0 in your first year at TCU and being in the college football playoffs is like not impressive. That's extremely impressive from a college football fan. Like, don't discount what somebody else is doing to make yourself feel better about whether or not your own team is performing or whether they're performing where they should be, overperforming, or underperforming. Let's not play that game. Because if that's the case, everybody should have picked TCU strictly off of experience if that's the only thing that matters now. You should have just picked TCU at the beginning of the season. Um, I would love for Bijan to come back, but I don't see it coming. Okay, David did answer my question about Jameer Johnson. Thank you. I didn't have enough room in my comments to mention Jameer Johnson, but I was going to include him. He's been injured. Yeah, he has been injured. I think he's quality depth, but not a starter. Terrence Brooks is prone to the stiff arm. Yeah, we got to get Terrence Brooks. He's going to be great for us, though. I like Terrence Brooks, but baptisms happen. It's football. Shit, he got stiff arm. It's okay. We're gonna be all right, brother. Bounce back. I love the way he played against TCU, Terrence Brooks, and it was on short notice. I mean, nobody even heard about Deshaun's concussion or whatever the situation was until I think the day of the game, in terms of us as fans, or at least the night before. So Terrence Brooks stepped up on short notice. I was very impressed. Junior Angulau. Um, I think it's good if Junior's playing center like they planned. My thing is I don't want to how do I say this? How do I say this? I don't want to just hand somebody the job because of what they've done in the past. And Junior's been great for us. I think he's what, a 3-year starter. And Junior's been great. And especially run as a run blocker. With the type of injury that he suffered and wherever he'll be at when the pads come on and whatnot, there's a lot of people in that room now fighting for, like, that are big like him now. And that room didn't look like that when he got hurt. And now it will by the time he comes back, is my point. And all I'm saying is I would be a little concerned if he walked back off that type of injury and won a job. I would be concerned. I would be concerned. It would remind me a little bit of the Derek Kerstetter thing, and I'm not taking anything away from Derek Kerstetter. But when Derek Kerstetter had his catastrophic injury, didn't participate really in spring, other than just kind of just being out there, but he didn't like fully participate. And then still, by the time the season started, it was an opening day starter. That was a red flag to me. That the other people in the room didn't step up. And what we ended up seeing play out was Derek, of course, coming off that type of injury, wasn't the same football player as he was before, but we started to play him all over the place because we didn't have quality depth. So for me, I am all on board with Junior as long as he can perform, and that is clearly the best player. But if I have to play Junior because the other young guys aren't along, and now we're in this whole kind of Derek Kerstetter awkward situation again, that would be a red flag for me personally. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. I hope he's back healthy. I was excited to see him play center this year. I think he would have been dynamite. Yeah. If you're gonna recruit me to return, give me the ball. Draw up some plays for me, coach. Yeah, yesterday was tough to feed anybody. I mean, he got some action, but I completely agree. Especially that's the other thing too. So as we kind of wrap up here, one thing I want to see in these close games, right? Like I think Baylor's going to be a tight football game next week. I think it's going to be. I almost want to see us in that situation where we're having to match wit for wit against Aranda because I want to see Sark problem solve and win a football game with his coaching. That's what I want to see. So I can have that confidence that if we get into a tight game or a dogfight and he has to problem solve to either manipulate something with the clock or out scheme an opponent late in a football game, we can do that. So one of the things I'd like to see, like go I know a lot of you guys watched the TCU Baylor game. That was a phenomenal game, even from a coaching perspective, down the stretch of Dykes and Aranda back and forth to the point where how Dykes handled the clock, which was controversial, but as a lot of people said, they practiced for that to run off, right? Like he's like, no, my kids are prepped. Like we work on that. No timeouts. We're gonna come on, no penalties, no pre-snap BS, and we're gonna walk off and kick this thing. So there was a chess match going on there between Dykes and Aranda. I know Sark can jump on teams like Kansas and blow people out, and I know Sark can get big leads on anybody. But what I need to see is that chess match back and forth where we outwit somebody and pull it out. I need to see that more consistently from Sark, and I hope to see that next week. If we get into a fire to any type of dogfight with Baylor, I think it's going to be a close game, and I think we're going to have to really work. And I want to see how Sark navigates that. Let me make sure I didn't miss any other. Good morning. Good morning. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate that. Christopher said he put some bread on TCU before the season. That's funny. Yes, that was a professional fire drill. That's good coaching, guys. Critical moment. And the score wasn't tied. For them, they did that. It was either we're gonna win or they're gonna win. The score it'd be to me, it's even different. If the game was 28 all, that's different. The game was 28-26. And he's like, nah, we doing this right. We are running this shit all the way down. And we are gonna decide the game right now. And they executed their fire drill. That's good coaching. They looked prepared and organized. Everybody, there was all these people running on or off the field. It was chaos. And we take stuff like that for granted, I feel like, as football fans. So um, those tactically, but down the stretch, even what Baylor was doing. I mean, when Baylor wasn't able to convert to keep the ball, the chess match that was happening between Aranda and them was very interesting. Very interesting. All right. No, I'm hoping. No, we've been working Campbell and more. Also, real quick before I really bounce here, go Cowboys! I think we're gonna bounce back today against Minnesota. We've always had, not always, but recently we've had some good energy against Minnesota Vikings and Kirk Cousins. We need this game before the Giants on Thanksgiving, and we play on the afternoon slot. So go Cowboys! I know a lot of y'all are here for Texas, but um, big game for my boys today, and I'm nervous about it. But after the Green Bay fiasco last week, we need to bounce back. Make sure you hit that like button. any chance, any chance Kansas beats Kansas State? Yeah, there's a chance. We have to hope that Daniels shook off all the rust against us, and he's going to look like the Daniels that played those first 5 games, and not the Daniels that played against us. If the Daniels that played against us goes out there in Manhattan next week, then we're not going to the Big 12 championship game. I'll put it that way. But if the Daniels that showed up the first 5 weeks can create some havoc and make them nervous, um, and Kansas State, I thought our chance was going to be more so West Virginia. To be honest with y'all, Kansas State at West Virginia for them to get the L that we needed, but crazy things happen. Now, what can't happen is that Kansas beats Kansas State and then we lose to Baylor. I won't. Yo, y'all will see me irate on here on Black Friday. Trust me on that. That's what can't happen. So yeah, I mean, but in terms of this conference, I mean, Kansas is still a bowl team. Lance Leopold, they were embarrassed. I expect them to go out with a professional effort. Rivalry game in the state of Kansas. Yeah, it's a possibility for sure. We need it, but Daniels is going to have to play like the 5-0 Daniels in order for them to have a chance to beat Kansas State. Because my fear is that Kansas State runs the ball right down their throats the same way we did with all their backs and weapons. So that's my fear. But if Daniels can keep them in the game and keep scoring, then different, different, different ball game. That would be so Texas. Oh my gosh, that would be so Texas though. If they beat K State, then we lost our game. Hope that we're gonna be. We have to beat Baylor. We have to. That's a must, regardless. Do we agree on that? Do we agree on that, gang? Can we leave on that note that we need to beat, regardless of scenario, we need to beat Baylor? Like this is for the program, for momentum, to just feel good about ourselves. Are we going to feel good if we drop the Baylor game with a possibility of going to the Big 12 when we're 7-5? Were we really feeling good about that? Are we, or at least, you know, we could say, hey, okay, we finished strong, won our last couple games, beat Aranda. We need to beat Baylor regardless of scenario. Can we agree on that? Because I don't want to see some of the goalposts moving that I've seen recently, especially on Twitter. Okay, we can agree that we need to beat Baylor. Somebody said nope. Texas should be more than motivated and fired up to go out there and kick their ass. That's a great point. Kansas game ain't even till Saturday. Kansas game ain't even until Saturday. So there are no excuses. Game ain't even till Saturday. You need to beat Baylor. It's a must-win game. It's a must-win game. Period. We like that's the energy that has to be out there. Have to win this game. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Like from an importance standpoint, not to mention seniors, Bijan, Colt, like all these guys we've mentioned throughout the show today. It's a must-win game. Guys, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you to our sponsor, Last Stand Hats. LastStandHats.com/fanatic perspective. Use that promo code Fanatic10, 10% off at checkout. Those of you who are fans of other various Texas schools in here or Oklahoma State, we have merch on the site for you. If you're a golfer, you're looking for golf polos, hats galore, Texas baseball right around the corner. I know so many of you guys are part of the Texas baseball crew. Can't think of a better, spot and just, area to pick up merch, pick up gear than laststandhats.com/fanatic perspective. Use the promo code Fanatic10. Appreciate that. And if you're looking for a betting partner for today, tons of NFL action, hit up bosr.com/fanatic. Y'all want to talk about, I see Nathan talking about Vikings by 20. All right, well, put your bread in. Put your bread on it, right? Go use that promo code Sports100FP, 100% free play match on all initial deposits within the first 24 hours up to $2,500 that they're matching there. So there's the graphic. That's what it looks like if you have not seen it. But yeah, take advantage. I appreciate y'all. And remember, horns always up and go Cowboys. Horns always up. Go Cowboys.